The music world is mourning the loss of reggae legend Jimmy Cliff. The Grammy winner and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee has died from pneumonia at the age of 81.
The passing of Jimmy Cliff didn't just close the chapter on a reggae icon. It cracked open a storm of mysteries that had been hidden during his quiet final years. People instantly began asking why his family kept everything sealed for so long. And only after he was gone did his daughter, Little Cliff, step forward and drop truths that had never been spoken, raising serious questions about what really happened behind the spotlight and the silence. Back in 2022, Jimmy Cliff slowly started slipping away from the stage, almost like he knew something heavy was coming. The global pandemic shut down tours, and his body began showing signs of real struggle. When he accepted the Reggae Gold Award in Kingston, he had to walk up with crutches, and that photo spread across Jamaica in minutes. Fans instantly sensed their hero wasn't just aging, he was fighting a battle most people never saw. A year later, doctors told him he needed knee surgery, forcing him to step back from performing completely. After that, Jimmy retreated to Montego Bay with his wife, Latifah Chambers, settling into a small seaside home where he tried to keep life calm. By 2023, he had nearly vanished from public life, and people wondered if something deeper was happening behind those quiet walls. According to someone close to Jimmy Cliff, things took a sharp turn at the start of 2024. His health reportedly dropped fast, and doctors diagnosed him with chronic pneumonia, pushing him to rely on a breathing device just to get through the days. By September 2025, his condition collapsed even further, and he had to be rushed to the University Hospital of the West Indies in Kingston. Doctors said he stayed awake through most of it, and he would often ask to hear "Many Rivers to Cross" again, as if that song was carrying him through every remaining moment. That track became the heartbeat of his final days, playing softly in his room while his family kept watch. Then, on the morning of November 24th, everything came to its final moment. Jimmy Cliff took his last breath while being held by his family, slipping away in what his wife described as strangely peaceful, with only the fading beep of the heart monitor breaking the silence. She said he drifted off as gently as the wind, a line that instantly broke hearts across the island. Later that afternoon, the family returned his body to Montego Bay, and locals lined the roads with wildflowers, blasting his songs from little speakers as the funeral convoy passed by, turning the moment into one final tribute that shook the whole community. The very next day, Kingston turned into a sea of people as thousands showed up to say their final goodbye to Jimmy Cliff. Local authorities even set up a small memorial stage, and young artists took turns performing his classic tracks, filling the air with the sound that shaped generations. Those close to him shared that before he passed, Jimmy made one humble request. He wanted a simple funeral, no long speeches, no big ceremonies, just music. He always said, "Let the music be the final voice." His family respected that wish with care, letting the rhythm speak louder than any tribute ever could. But while his passing closed one chapter, it opened a whole wave of questions that rolled across Jamaica, especially after what happened just days later. His only daughter stepped in front of the cameras, and the things she revealed left the entire country stunned into silence. Right after the funeral, Little Cliff, Jimmy Cliff's eldest daughter, appeared before the public, becoming the only family member willing to face the press. In her first post online, she explained that her father chose to face everything quietly, refusing sympathy or pity, wanting the world to remember him for his music, not his pain. Then, on November 26th, she sat down for an interview on national television. She spoke steadily, though anyone watching could see her eyes were red from tears. She confirmed that her father had been battling pneumonia, mixed with heart problems for 2 years, but he kept it hidden because he didn't want to bring sadness to anyone close to him. According to her, even during his toughest days in Montego Bay, Jimmy stayed committed to creating music. He always kept a notebook beside his bed, scribbling down ideas the moment they popped into his mind. She even shared one of his personal lines. He told me, "If a man can no longer sing, let the song sing for him." Those words ended up becoming the opening line of his unfinished memoir. Little Cliff also revealed that Jimmy had secretly hoped to return to the stage in 2024, but his health blocked that dream. In their private talks, he often reminisced about his old crowds in Kingston, remembering the nights when stadiums were packed and his voice echoed through the entire city. Whenever Jimmy talked about those old crowds, he would smile and say, "My music is still there, only now I listen instead of sing." That line alone showed how deeply he understood his own journey. And when Little Cliff was asked about the rumors claiming Jimmy had grown disappointed with the music industry, she didn't dodge the topic at all. She explained that her father did feel reggae had been commercialized and pulled away from its original roots, but he never turned his back on the culture he helped build. She said he chose quietness as a way to protect the purity of his belief, not as a sign of bitterness. According to her, Jimmy once told her that fame can make artists forget why they ever started singing in the first place. He always insisted that music should stay in the hands of the people, not be twisted by the market. Some outsiders misread this as him being distant, but to his family, it was his way of guarding the dignity of a true creator. During the interview, Little Cliff also spoke about his draft memoir, Songs of the Soul, a handwritten manuscript he began back in 2010. Inside were raw pieces of thought about life, faith, and the fear of getting older. One haunting passage read, "I sang for peace, but the world grows louder." That short line captured the whole heart of a man who spent his life letting sound carry his soul. Little Cliff also shared that in his final days, Jimmy kept asking to hear the original recording of Many Rivers to Cross, the version that meant the most to him. She explained that during the funeral, the family stayed completely silent, because that was exactly what he asked for.
Jimmy once told them that when his time came, he wanted no big tribute. Just let the sea and the music speak the rest. That's why the family chose cremation, letting his ashes fall into the waters of Montego Bay, the same place where he wrote his very first song. In the days that followed, Jamaican media repeated her words without any extra commentary, and many newspapers printed just one simple line that moved the whole island. Little Cliff, the keeper of her father's final promise. After that moment, the picture of Jimmy Cliff became sharper than ever, an artist who chose to leave this world in silence, letting his music handle the final goodbye. Once his daughter's words reached the public, people across Jamaica started looking back, trying to understand the full path he walked. His journey wasn't just built on melodies. It was built on the footsteps of a symbol who rose straight from the soil of a small village and climbed all the way to the world stage. That story began in Somerton, where a young boy named James Chambers first lifted his voice and felt the spark of something powerful. Born in 1944, Jimmy Cliff grew up in Somerton, a rural community where his family didn't have much money, but they were surrounded by rhythm. As a kid, he sang in the church choir and even taught himself guitar using old bicycle brake wires, turning scraps into sound with pure determination. By his teenage years, Jimmy's hunger for music grew too big for his small hometown. At just 14, he left Somerton and headed to Kingston, settling in a working-class area where life wasn't easy. His first nights there were rough. He sang in bars just to earn a meal, using his voice as his only currency. But one of those nights changed everything when producer Leslie Kong discovered him. Jimmy recorded his first track, Hurricane Hattie, shortly after, and its youthful energy and bold lyrics shot straight to the top of the Jamaican charts. That song cracked open the doors of the music industry for him, setting up a career that would stretch nearly 6 decades. Between 1965 and 1970, Jimmy Cliff released a wave of ska and reggae tracks that would shape the soundtrack of an entire region. Songs like Miss Jamaica and Wonderful World, Beautiful People became instant favorites, spreading his name across the Caribbean and beyond. The press even crowned him the young star of the tropics, saying his voice brought a fresh soul to reggae. Jimmy Cliff quickly grew into a symbol of Jamaica's post-independence pride. He often told reporters that his music was a thank you to my homeland and the people where I was born. His songwriting carried optimism, faith, and unity, the 3 pillars that gave reggae its heartbeat and helped lift Jamaica's spirit onto the global stage. The year 1972 flipped Jimmy Cliff's entire life upside down in the best way possible. The film The Harder They Come premiered, starring Jimmy himself in the lead role while he performed the full soundtrack. The story of a struggling Jamaican man pushing back against social injustice hit audiences around the world with unexpected force. That movie didn't just entertain, it blasted reggae across borders and turned it into a worldwide cultural symbol. That same year, the soundtrack sold millions of copies, officially making Jimmy Cliff the face of modern reggae. He once said, "I don't want people to just hear reggae, I want them to hear Jamaica." And that line became his lifelong artistic mission. After the film's massive success, Jimmy hit the road, touring the United States, the United Kingdom, Japan, and more. Everywhere he touched down, people greeted him like a musical ambassador, bringing the heartbeat of a small but powerful island. His shows weren't just concerts. They were living stories about freedom, strength, and human hope. By the mid-1970s, Jimmy Cliff had risen into full global icon status, carrying messages about peace, racial equality, and resistance in the face of hardship. Critics often described his voice as both fierce and softly hopeful at the same time, a rare mix that made his music unforgettable. Around this time, he teamed up with major international artists, including Joe Strummer and Elton John, blending cultures and sounds in ways nobody had tried before. Even though big record labels threw huge deals at him, Jimmy refused to let the industry shape his direction. Instead, he stayed independent, choosing to protect Jamaica's identity in his work and keep his music rooted in the truth he grew up with. This choice kept the soul of his music real, even though it meant turning down chances that could have brought him even bigger fame. In the late 1970s, Jimmy Cliff returned to Jamaica and started putting on free shows for students and workers, proving he never forgot where he came from. During one powerful concert in Kingston, he told the crowd, "Music should not be a privilege. It belongs to everyone." The whole place erupted, and thousands of voices joined him, transforming the night into a massive, unplanned citywide festival. Because of everything he had given to the country, the Jamaican government honored him with the Order of Merit, one of the highest awards an artist can receive. When he stepped onto the stage to accept it, he bowed his head and said, "This is not a reward for me, but for Jamaica." The moment touched the entire nation. By the end of the 1970s, Jimmy Cliff stood as a global symbol of reggae. But with all that fame came heavy expectations and rising tensions inside the industry. And that pressure slowly pushed him into a difficult phase where the light and the shadows in his life started walking side by side. He had been one of reggae's brightest stars, yet he suddenly found himself facing the darker reality that success built around him. A life filled with conflicts no one on the outside could see. As the new decade arrived, those struggles grew louder. In the early 1980s, Jimmy left Island Records after a copyright dispute shook his trust. In a London interview afterward, he spoke slowly and calmly, saying, "I love music, but I cannot love those who use it to sell dreams." That one sentence revealed a wound that went deeper than business. After walking away from the label, Jimmy moved to England, trying to rebuild in his own way. He kept recording and experimenting with different styles, pushing his creativity even when the industry wasn't cheering as loudly anymore. Critics gave his work good reviews, but the sales didn't match. And the press started writing lines like, "The reggae hero is searching for his own voice again." But for Jimmy, it wasn't just about career direction. It was a fight to understand who he was becoming. By the mid-1980s, the pressure pushed him to step out of the spotlight almost completely. He turned down interview requests and rarely appeared in front of audiences. In a private conversation in 1985, he admitted that he had fallen into depression, a confession that showed just how much weight had been sitting on his shoulders, while the world still pictured him smiling on stage. Friends shared that during those years, Jimmy Cliff lived quietly in a small London apartment, spending most of his days reading, meditating, and staying far away from the music world he once ruled. Solitude became his only real company, and he slipped into a lifestyle where silence filled every corner of his life. In 1991, when he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he showed up alone, bowed respectfully to the audience, accepted the award, and walked out right after. No speeches, no celebration, just his calm presence. After that ceremony, Jimmy returned to Jamaica without making any noise about it. He stayed for months, revisiting Somerton and strolling through the streets of Montego Bay like he was searching for pieces of himself that he had left behind. Friends believed that this quiet trip sparked something deep inside him, pushing him to rethink everything he had become and everything he still wanted to be. A year later, he left England for good and settled permanently in Jamaica to start fresh. As the late 1990s rolled in, Jimmy Cliff found new spiritual grounding and embraced Islam, legally changing his name to Ilhaj Naeem Bashir. In one of his rare public talks, he explained that through prayer, he finally understood what real peace felt like. Around this time, he remarried Latifah Chambers, and together they built a home with 2 children, giving him a new sense of balance. When the new century arrived, Jimmy slowly stepped back into the community, not as the global star he once was, but as someone who wanted to help others heal. He joined charity efforts, backed cultural preservation projects, and used music as a gentle tool instead of a spotlight. His journeys across Africa and the Middle East became known as the travels of an inspirer, not a celebrity. And people who met him often said he carried a calm energy that felt almost spiritual. During this later chapter of his life, Jimmy Cliff's music shifted into something softer and deeper, no longer carrying the raw fire of rebellion, but instead leaning into themes of forgiveness, faith, and growing older. Music magazines even called this era of his work the autobiography of a survivor, a title that fit him perfectly. After Rebirth found success, Jimmy stepped even further away from interviews and public attention. He lived quietly in Montego Bay, spending most of his days with his family and keeping life beautifully simple. In a short conversation back in 2018, he said, "Reggae is not dead. I just don't need to stand before the microphone anymore." That line captured his entire spirit in old age, calm, accepting, and confident that the music he helped build would keep living even when he chose to stand in the background. After almost 4 decades filled with struggles, triumphs, and changes, Jimmy Cliff finally chose peace as his home. Even after stepping away from the spotlight, his voice never truly faded, because when he passed, the world finally realized the depth of everything he had given to Jamaica, a legacy that stands untouchable. After his passing, his family confirmed that they were finalizing his long-awaited memoir, Songs of the Soul, a book he had written over more than 10 years. It traces his life from his early days in Somerton all the way to his final years of reflection, and it's scheduled for release in 2026 as his official farewell to the world. The Jamaican Ministry of Culture also announced a major tribute, the creation of the Jimmy Cliff Cultural Center in Montego Bay. The design is simple but strong, wrapped in the iconic yellow, green, and red colors of reggae. Inside, visitors will find displays of his instruments, handwritten lyrics, and personal items he used throughout his long career. According to the project committee, the center will also include a small stage designed for young artists to perform real traditional reggae music. This idea came straight from Jimmy's own belief. Music never dies as long as someone still wants to sing. His family supported the plan completely, saying it matched the way Jimmy always wanted his legacy to continue through the next generation. Somerton High School, where Jimmy once studied, also renamed its music room Jimmy Cliff Hall. Students placed his portrait beside the lyrics to Many Rivers to Cross, turning the room into a space filled with inspiration. The principal explained that they wanted students to see his face every day and understand something powerful, that even a legend started from humble beginnings, and greatness can rise from the smallest corners of Jamaica. Many young Jamaican artists still look at Jimmy Cliff as their first spark of inspiration. During a tribute concert, singer Coffee said, "Without Jimmy, reggae wouldn't have the place it holds today." Artists like Lila Ike and Chronix have echoed that same respect in interviews, calling him the one who planted the seeds for a new generation. His influence didn't just touch the industry, it built the path that so many now walk on. Jimmy Cliff's family also revealed the creation of the Many Rivers Foundation, a project dedicated to supporting music scholarships for underprivileged kids across Jamaica. In a message to the press, Latifah Chambers wrote, "This is how he wanted to give back opportunities to the next generation." By the end of 2025, the foundation had already received thousands of applications from young dreamers hoping to follow in his footsteps. Most of Jimmy's ashes were released into the sea at Montego Bay, the same place where he wrote some of his earliest songs. A small portion was placed in a seaside memorial, carved with the words, "He sang for freedom. He lived for love." Every evening, locals walked to the shore carrying flowers, playing his music, and standing in peaceful silence as the waves roll in, a quiet ritual that keeps his presence alive.
In Kingston, radio stations still play Jimmy's songs every single morning. Old recordings float through the city, blending with the wind and the ocean breeze. For Jamaicans, it's a way to start the day with the same strength and spirit that Jimmy carried inside him. One radio editor even said, "As long as reggae lives, Jamaica still has Jimmy." Meanwhile, in Montego Bay, a bronze statue of Jimmy Cliff is almost complete, a tribute that will stand tall by the shoreline, reminding everyone that this legend walked among them and left a legacy that still echoes across the island. The statue shows Jimmy Cliff just as he appeared in the heart of They Come, with his eyes fixed on the horizon, like he's still chasing the next chapter. The monument is expected to become a major cultural landmark, a place where visitors won't just snap photos, but also learn about the roots of reggae and the man whose voice helped shape it. Music scholars often describe Jimmy Cliff as the bridge between Jamaica's soul and the wider world. His music didn't just follow melody, it transformed into a message carrying freedom, compassion, and strength straight into the hearts of listeners everywhere. Several Jamaican universities have even added his name to their popular culture courses, showing just how deeply he influenced the island's identity. Online, Jimmy Cliff's classic recordings are still shared millions of times. Tracks he created more than 50 years ago continue to pulse with life today. Young people play "You Can Get It If You Really Want" as a reminder to stay determined, while older generations hear it and instantly return to the memories of their youth. Jimmy Cliff finished his 81-year journey quietly, but what he left behind refuses to fade. From a humble village in Somerton to the global stage, he transformed reggae into a language of belief, courage, and freedom, a voice that still guides Jamaica and inspires the world every single day. Today, Jamaica isn't just remembering an artist, they're honoring a piece of their own history, a voice that once spoke for the entire island with unstoppable strength. Jimmy Cliff's melodies still drift across the ocean like living spirits, proving that music becomes immortal when it's born straight from the heart of a human soul. His rhythm, his message, and his legacy keep moving through every generation that hears his sound. If you feel the energy and spirit that Jimmy Cliff left behind, make sure you like this video and share it so more people can discover the journey of this true icon. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can keep exploring more stories about the legends who shaped music as we know it. Drop a comment below and tell us which Jimmy Cliff song still lives in your memory. We want to hear the track that still echoes in your heart.